So please don't wake me up. Please don't wake me from this nightmare.
So today we're going to be talking about this brand new concept mode called Convoy mode, as you saw in the intro sequence. Now this is a new idea which I made up over some free time, and I thought about how I could improve Hardline or offer it something which I thought would be interesting and fun to do. Now the idea of these concept mode videos is that I'm going to be giving you guys an idea that I have, and I kind of want you to run with it. I want you to get in the comment section below and get in the Reddit link, which is also in the description, and discuss this idea and think about ways we can improve an idea. So let's set the foundations and sort of give you an insight into what this mode is. Now, Convoy mode is a rush-like game mode which I have sort of tested and played around with for a while now, and it's something I think might work very well in Battlefield Hardline. Now for me, Battlefield Hardline flourishes and does its best when it tries to sort of appreciate high-octane action and also sort of encompass its own theme. My favourite two modes in the game itself are Blood Money and Heists because they're very unique and they add a certain level of action that we haven't seen in other Battlefield games. Now, that being said, Battlefield games are Battlefield games. You don't want to completely get rid of tradition and completely throw things out the window, you know, that might annoy some people. So I thought, okay, how could I implement Rush in a way which is a bit more interesting and a bit more themed? So essentially this is how it goes. There is a truck which is unmanned and on rails, which means it moves automatically, and it will be moving at a slow pace between map zones. Now in terms of theme, this truck can either have gold or a military weapon in it, or something which just looks cool and fits the overall Hardline consensus. Now it is the goal of the attackers to wipe out the enemy team before the truck crosses into each zone, so there will be 3 separate ones of which it can go into. Now on the flip side is the goal of the defenders to ensure that the truck makes it across the final zone, thus completing the entire game and winning it. This is a 32 player mode with 100 tickets awarded to the defenders for each zone that they are in. The map will be specifically limited to the zones that the truck is in, dependent on when it crosses. The idea is to maintain a good level of infantry combat and keep sort of close quarters sort of feelings in mind, but at the same time not limit the player to not enough movement and not to restrict them. Now you may be wondering, why doesn't the defender just hide to win the game? Obviously, if their truck keeps moving for no reason and they're hiding, they won't get killed, right? Which means that they can't lose the game. Wrong. Now, to overcome this hurdle, and after doing some brainstorming with a couple of people, we thought of a blockade system. Now, this blockade system gives the attackers the opportunity to stop the truck moving forward at regular intervals. This makes sure that the defenders are fighting and keeping a principal focus on the main road to ensure that their truck does not get stopped and not give an easier opportunity for the enemy team to win the game. Now, the main element of play here is infantry combat surrounding the actual objective, so the truck itself. By plotting a predestined path that the truck is going to move along, there will be multiple buildings of conflict and also conflict around the movement of the truck itself. In a little playtest, people quite enjoyed sticking against the side of the truck and the back of the truck to advance with it. One of the reasons I feel that the modes such as Heist and Blood Money do specifically well is because there is a central place of conflict. So that means there's one area where everybody is directing fire and directing their attention to. Now the same principle lies here, except the central focus is the road itself, and the way people can flank into these objectives is through the surrounding structures and surrounding environment. So essentially players will be focusing on the defensive team to keep that road clear at all costs, making sure that their truck moves at a steady pace, gets through the zones, and doesn't encounter any kind of delay or problems. On the flip side of that, you have the attackers. The attackers will be focusing on diminishing their opponents, but also stopping the truck in order to finish them off. So as you can see, there's a conflicting interest here, which means both teams are going to have to focus directly on this road, which means there's going to be some battles, and it also means that firefights will occur in order to defend or attack it. Now, as you can see here on the map, I've highlighted these specific buildings due to their vantage points. Now, players can occupy them and be kill effective and benefit the flow of play. It's not just buildings that this could happen in if this mode was widespread, it could also be areas of interest as well, or zones where people might want to take up in and start firing at the opponent. Essentially, one of the reasons I find Blood Money and Heist quite interesting is because once the players have the package or have the objective on the move, players have the opportunity to intercept it however they want. So the same principle is going to translate to this mode. Players have the opportunity to try and get into better positions to ensure that their team does better than the other team. And I think that's going to be really focused and key in making infantry combat kind of work in this game mode. Now, the only vehicles which are available in this game will be 2 transport helicopters, and this means that most of the battle will happen on the ground, with coordinated teams benefiting from aerial support. Essentially, if there is no cars, obviously it helps a lot easier. You know, nobody's going to be getting in front of the truck with their car, no glitches, no bugs. But also, on the opposite side of that, you have 2 helicopters which could quite easily benefit their team with a coordinated attack. Now, if you have your helicopter sort of flying and hovering low above this truck and fighting the enemy players below and keeping the roads clear, it's likely that that's going to be very beneficial, but that will only happen with a coordinated squadron. Now, the blockade system as well is something I found quite interesting, and certainly was a hurdle that we had to tackle when thinking about this mode, because obviously there is the potential that players could just go hide in a corner. You know, that could happen. People will find a way to exploit a game mode however they can. And the blockade system, which is represented by a car here, but obviously will be something else if there is an ever actual mode, essentially works by having the attackers plant one, of which they'll have to hold down a button for 40 seconds for the blockade to be deployed. Now, for it to be destroyed, the defenders will have to do principally the same thing again for another 40 seconds. As a result, both the attackers and defenders will have to focus on the main road, and also focus on teamwork to ensure that either the blockades go up, none go up at all, or all blockades are destroyed as quickly as possible. Now, I feel as though it's quite important to think about a mode as something which is quite delicate. You always have to walk the fine line. If you do something that's underbalanced or completely overpowered, you know, things are going to get tricky. So the blockade system is supposed to be simplistic, but also provide players the opportunity to be more advanced as well. So essentially, if I put a blockade down, cool, you know, I've got it down. But if there's a very tactically well-balanced and maneuvered team on the opposite end, they can quite easily destroy that blockade if they work together. It's supposed to be something which is challenging, but at the same time also something which is going to be a bit fun. So something like an M-Comment Rush, where somebody plants a bomb, cool, they sort of hang back and defend it, and snipe it and DMR it and C4 it and do whatever they can. That happens, but it's still a fun game mode to play because if there's a well-coordinated team, they get the job done. Now, one thing as well that I quickly wanted to influence on this mode was a focus on player lives. Now, 100 tickets is ample room for error, but as numbers quickly diminish, it will be upon those who are still alive to see the truck pass into the next zone. So unlike Rush, where once the attackers kill one more defender and the tickets hit 0, the round finishes, this game will instead stay on 0 tickets with no more respawns. So as a result, the people who are alive have a job and responsibility to get the truck into the next zone. So essentially it adds a bit more tension and a bit more value to a player's life. One thing I've really enjoyed about recent PC shooters I've played, like Insurgency, is that they add this sort of really intense level of gameplay where you have this kind of weight on your shoulders. If I die, my team is going to hate me and I'm going to suck, and you know, that's kind of what I want to see in Hardline, because I've got to admit, Battlefield sometimes as a whole becomes sort of a bloodfest and people shoot everybody and there's no real value to what you're doing. And I felt like maybe for once, if we gave a player some more responsibility and a job to do, maybe we can get them to be a bit more, you know, tactical thinking, a bit more tense, and a bit more fun in general, something that people would enjoy doing, having that little extra kick or spark to the game. It also gives the attackers the opportunity to go on some kind of metaphorical witch hunt for people, which will be pretty good to see. So that's basically the idea of the game mode, guys. It's supposed to be pried around intense, fun and tactical gameplay. Now obviously I need you to bear in mind that the car is essentially the blockade, which obviously it wouldn't be if there was an actual mode, so kind of be a bit imaginative as to what that might look like, some kind of metal mesh wall thing. And also bearing in mind that I've basically just taken a map for Battlefield Hardline, which is completely unoptimized or in no way designed for the game mode that I have just made. So it's not perfect, it's definitely not going to be 100% brilliant, but it's something which I feel as though could work in certain maps. I felt like Dust Bowl was a good map to choose because if you get the zones correct and if you get everything really ironed out and ready to go, that kind of crossroad infantry combat that I've always sort of wanted to see in Hardline could come to life. So guys, I want you to do as much as you can with this mode. I want you to comment on it, I want you to sort of let me know what you think about it, but I also want you to think about ways that you could improve it, ideas that you could have, and also things that you thought, okay, well that doesn't make sense, or, you know, that wouldn't work, or this would be broken. I want you to pick holes in it as well. That's the best way we can come up with like a finalized mode, which would be a pretty cool concept mode to have. Now, also, on the flip side of things, I need you to bear in mind one thing, which was a huge hurdle that we had when me and a few other people thought about this mode. Nothing in this game mode, including the trucks or blockades, can have a life. So what you need to remember, like, if I started putting, you know, truck health or barricade health, people might just start shooting at it and blowing it up, and eventually it would just be like, okay, well, this is going to be a complete destroy explosive fest. So just bearing in mind what any changes you would like to make, what implications that could have on the overall flow of gameplay. So guys, it's been me, TheTacticalBrit. I hope you enjoyed this video today, and I hope you like this brand new mode idea. And please share it too, because I want to see what other people think of this idea as well. As always guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you again in another video.